what we know. 22-year-old Gabby Petito, who's from Blue Point, Long Island, moved to Florida in 2019 to live with her then boyfriend, now fiance, Brian Laundrie.
On August 12th, right in the middle of that window, Moab, Utah police responded to this domestic dispute between Gabby and Laundrie. Based on what we hear on the body camera video, they had been fighting. Somebody reported it. They ended up leaving, and then the cops caught up with them. That's where the body camera video came from.
It's the news her family didn't want to hear. Remains that resembled Gabby were discovered in a remote camping area of the Tetons. Days later, the coroner confirmed it was Gabby and that she had died by homicide.
Where is Brian Laundrie hiding? This is the question that's taken the entire world by storm and caused a digital tidal wave of talk about how a case with so many eyes on it still has its primary suspect hidden and successfully on the run. Much of the initial searching by law enforcement has focused on the Mabry Carlton Jr. Memorial Reserve, most commonly just known as the Carlton Reserve. This is because Brian's parents claim he went backpacking in the area on September 14th, the last time that they claim to have seen him, even though he was leaving without his cell phone and his wallet. If they're being accurate, this gives Brian several days worth of head start against the authorities and widens the distance they'd have to search by a large margin. The Carlton Reserve is a very large area to have to search, made up of 25,000 acres of land, or over 100 square kilometers. With everything from prairies to wetlands to forests and 160 miles worth of trails, the area is vast and difficult to efficiently sweep, given the amount of swampy ground and flooded portions of the trails. The amount of foliage cover and the fact that Brian Laundrie likely is still avoiding being found means the area has to be searched very slowly and becomes almost impossible at night, when blending into the forest would become even easier. The Carlton Reserve would have its fair share of problems for Brian, however, as the park is notorious for large amounts of mosquitoes and even alligators, which would combine with the already large risk for exposure and dehydration to create a very rough time for anyone staying in the area for multiple days. For a while, officials had actually given up on the reserve as a primary location of interest and have called off searches there. But recently, searches have been reactivated for the Carlton Reserve, albeit scaled back, this time specifically focusing on areas of water and even bringing in some boats and diving teams to scour the rivers and lakes nearby, which is a pretty big investment because, again, this is alligator territory. While the inclusion of divers implies that the FBI is no longer hoping to find their prime suspect alive if he's still to be found within the Carlton Reserve, this does make sense given the large amounts of swampy ponds and other dangers that Brian would have had to contend with for weeks by this point. By this point, all options are being considered just to try and figure out what happened to our primary suspect. Given the head start between his last known appearance and the federal manhunt beginning for him, it's possible that Brian could be taking advantage of a less dangerous area of wilderness and hiding a bit further from home. A very popular theory, given that Brian Laundrie was known to be an avid hiker and survivalist, is that he might be currently hiding out on the Appalachian Trail. The longest hiking-only trail on the entire planet, measuring in at 3,500 kilometers, it stretches all the way from Georgia to Maine and is used by at least 2 million people each year. Hiking the entire trail in a single season is a popular challenge for super experienced hikers, especially in recent years, with almost 850 completing the entire distance in 2017. Known as through hikers, people will prepare for months just to be in the best possible shape for the brief window of time when the climate and weather conditions will be ideal for the entire duration. Despite the popularity, the trail's massive size and various small offshoots mean it could make for an ideal hiding spot as well, especially if someone was already experienced with the trail and the general area. And according to one of Gabby and Brian's friends, Rose Davis, that's exactly what Brian was. According to her, Brian Laundrie once stayed on the Appalachian Trail for over 3 months, and it was an experience that he would often brag about. There's even pictures from Gabby of the two of them visiting and camping on parts of the trail during their own cross-country adventures. If Brian knew the area so well and knew it was a spot that a survivalist and backpacking would give him an advantage while trying to stay off the grid, the Appalachian Trail would be an enticing option. Dog the Bounty Hunter apparently agrees and was also seen investigating leads around the Appalachian Trail segment residing in North Carolina, around 154 kilometers worth, and the various small towns surrounding it. As of now, there's just been several eyewitness accounts leading to the area, but the combination of Brian's past with the area and its ability to keep him hidden does mean that we should keep the possibility of the Appalachian Trail theory in mind. Another area Dog the Bounty Hunter was investigating was Fort DeSoto Park, located near St. Petersburg, Florida, and around 75 miles from Brian Laundrie's parents' address. Made up of 5 smaller keys or islands, the park used to be a military installation in the 1800s, all the way up to 1922, when the fort was closed and eventually converted to civilian use and then a park. This same park was apparently popular with Brian Laundrie's family, and according to Dog the Bounty Hunter, was visited by Brian and both his parents on 2 separate trips shortly before he disappeared, from September 1st to September 3rd, and then from September 6th to September 8th. The allegation is that Brian's parents may have helped him avoid authorities and assisted with his disappearance during the latter of these 2 trips. And while there's no proof that they belong to Brian yet, searchers have found some fresh campsites and a very recent Monster Energy drink can that shows at least someone is camping out on these small Florida islands. Dog the Bounty Hunter has, ironically, called in a K9 team as well, meaning searchers will be island hopping from key to key, hoping to catch a scent and see if Brian is potentially still in the area. The search for Brian Laundrie will likely continue for a while as the whole world grapples with new details and hopes to get some sense of closure from this case. And things continue to be difficult with how many people are searching at this point, with plenty of false sightings of people that look just like Brian, or speculation that he might have somehow made his way back to Wyoming, where Gabby was found, without anybody noticing. Cases with so many eyes on them have their benefits, but they also have their downsides as well. At this point, all we can really do is speculate and try and keep in mind Gabby Petito's family's wish to bring this same energy of justice to all missing people's cases, not just the big ones that go viral. Thank you for watching Life's Biggest Questions.